Have you ever lost money at the airport because of carry-on baggage regulations that you accidentally overlooked? Whether it's your very first flight or your 100th, a single carry-on mistake in 2025 could get you in trouble. TSA screened over 904 million passengers in 2024 and flagged thousands of violations. In 2025, security rules have tightened in ways many travelers don't even realize. What's different now is the tech. New CT scanners can see what older scanners couldn't, and passengers aren't always aware how strict the enforcement has become. Don't look away. I'll show you how to avoid these headaches. And the last one is the easy rule everyone thinks they know, but it still leaves travelers paying fees or facing legal trouble. At 35,000 feet, smoke is the last thing you want to see. And yet, it happens more often than you think. The FAA has logged over 600 cases of lithium batteries smoking or overheating in cabins between 2006 and 2025. In 2024, an American Airlines flight was evacuated after fire from a laptop battery was reported at San Francisco International Airport. One passenger wrote on Twitter, "There was a light stampede. People were screaming, 'Fire in the back,' and rushing towards the doors." Surely none of us want to experience such a panic flight. That's why TSA zeroes in on loose batteries. Loose batteries, whether it's a power bank or a tiny camera cell, light up on the scanner if they're not packed correctly. And no, wrapping them in a t-shirt won't fool anyone. Ever had your bag pulled just because you forgot to cover a battery? If you have, you know how long those 15 minutes at secondary inspection can feel. And if you try to sneak in an oversized battery or ignore the rules, TSA can fine you up to $14,950. Trust me, nobody wants to lose nearly 15 grand over a single battery. So how do you avoid the drama? Just drop your spares into a clear plastic case or their retail box, cover the contacts, and keep them in your carry-on. Do that, and you'll glide through security while the person behind you sweats through a bag check. Try it on your next trip, and let me know how much time it saves you. You followed the rule. You drained your water bottle before security, and yet your bag still gets pulled. Why? The issue isn't what's inside, it's how the bottle looks on the scanner. Stainless steel, double-wall hydro flasks, and vacuum bottles appear as solid black blocks on CT images, looking a lot like a hidden compartment for banned items. TSA officers also know smugglers have used empty bottles with false bottoms to hide liquids or contraband. That's why thick metal bottles can be pulled for extra checks, depending on the screener and the situation. According to CNN, newer CT scanners are more sensitive, picking up density shifts that older machines would have missed. What feels like a harmless hydro flask may end up costing you an extra 5 to 15 minutes at the checkpoint. In rare cases, such as if the bottle still has liquid or the officer suspects tampering, it could even be taken away. The fix? Skip the fancy metal flask at security. Instead, bring a transparent plastic bottle or a collapsible silicone one that scanners can see through easily. Once you're past the checkpoint, refill it at a fountain or buy a drink near the gate. It's cheaper, faster, and keeps your $50 bottle safe at home. Boarding feels like the finish line. You're lined up, boarding pass ready, when suddenly the gate agent stops you. A quick lift of your bag, maybe even a weigh-in, and you're told it's not coming on board. The fee? $50, sometimes $100, often more than if you'd checked it earlier. Here's the nuance. Most U.S. airlines, like Delta, United, and American, don't set strict weight limits for domestic carry-ons. If your bag fits the sizer, you're usually fine. But if it looks overstuffed, feels too heavy to lift, or the overhead bins are already full, gate agents can still force you to check it, sometimes with a last-minute charge. Fly overseas, though, and the rules shift fast. Many Asian and European carriers, such as ANA and Lufthansa, cap carry-on weight at just 15 to 22 pounds, 7 to 10 kilograms, and regional flights with smaller bins are even stricter. On these routes, agents often bring out handheld scales at the gate, and one extra pair of sneakers or a laptop can push you past the limit. How road warriors dodge it? Weigh your carry-on at home with a cheap luggage scale. If you're flying abroad, check the exact weight limit for your airline and move heavy items like chargers or books into your personal bag. If an agent eyeballs your bag, lift it with one hand and set it down to show that your bag is light enough. 2 minutes of prep can save you from an expensive, embarrassing scramble in front of a full boarding line. That tub of protein powder, bag of coffee, or even baby formula? On the scanner, they don't look like breakfast. They look like a question mark. And just like that, your powder becomes the star of a TSA science experiment. Here's the rule that trips people up. Anything powder-like over 12 ounces, about 350 milliliters, the size of a soda can, must go through extra screening. TSA officers can't tell protein mix from explosives on the machine, so they pull it aside. A single container can add 5 to 10 minutes of testing. 2 or 3 in a row? That's how an entire lane ends up delayed. And it's not just supplements. Travelers report even baby powder and face powder getting flagged, sometimes in travel-size containers. The risk isn't that your item is illegal. It's that the container is big enough to eat up time you don't have. Missed flights and abandoned tubs are common side effects. So let me put you in the hot seat. If your $40 pre-workout got flagged while boarding time was ticking down, would you toss it in the trash or roll the dice and risk a sprint through the terminal? The safe move is simple. Keep powders under 12 ounces, stick to original packaging when you can, and pack them where they're easy to pull. That tiny bit of prep keeps your powders safe, your flight on schedule, and you out of an unplanned chemistry demo at the checkpoint. Personal items used to slide by with loose enforcement. But this year, American Airlines tightened its limit to 18 by 14 by 8 inches on most domestic and international flights. At busy airports like LAX or JFK and on crowded routes, gate agents are especially vigilant, counting every bag. Anything with its own handle, like a duty-free shopping bag, can be treated as a second item. That's when you risk a gate check fee, often $40 to $100, depending on the flight and the airport. I saw a woman at LAX lose $65 because her duty-free bag was counted as a second item. She scrambled to nest it last minute, but still paid the fee. One simple trick could have saved her from losing money and embarrassment. How to pass the vibe check. Clip smaller pouches to your main bag or slip a shopping bag inside your backpack before boarding. The goal is to make it look like one item, because to the airline, appearances matter more than what's actually inside. If an agent glances down, beat them to it. Just the one personal item. I nested my tech pouch inside. You're signaling compliance while showing you understand the rule. Travelers who look well prepared rarely get questioned. Do this, and you'll dodge surprise fees, skip awkward gate-side interrogations, and save 10 minutes of stress, while someone else is stuck reshuffling their bags on the floor under a dozen impatient stares. Smart luggage sounds great. GPS, built-in chargers, digital locks. Until you reach the checkpoint, and suddenly, your expensive bag is either staying behind because a small battery. Because airlines don't ban the bag itself, they ban the non-removable lithium battery inside. Why? Because a battery that overheats in the cargo hold is a serious fire risk, and crew can't reach it once the plane is in the air. That's why carriers from Delta to United to American all require the battery to be removable on the spot. If it isn't, your smart luggage, no matter how many hundreds of dollars it costs, won't be allowed on board. Travel forums are full of stories of travelers stranded at LAX, Heathrow, or Singapore Changi with smart bags they couldn't use, forced to ship them home at outrageous cost, or abandon them altogether. And here's the move that gets your smart luggage through the gate without drama. Choose a smart bag with a clearly removable battery. Test it at home before your trip so you don't end up fumbling at the gate. Better yet, pack a regular carry-on and use a separate power bank under 100 wow. It gives you the same charging convenience without risking your bag being grounded. A 2-minute check before you leave can save you hundreds of dollars and a major headache at the airport. Think you've packed your bag perfectly? But with the machines at the airport, it looks like one big mystery block. When clothes are layered tight around electronics, like a laptop wrapped in t-shirts, a camera tucked between jeans, or cords stuffed into shoes, the X-ray can't separate the shapes. It just shows a dense block. And a dense block always means one thing: secondary inspection. So, how do you pack tight and keep your bag readable? Use packing cubes to group items so the machine sees clear outlines. Keep electronics in outer pockets, easy to pull if asked. And don't max out every inch. Leave a little breathing space so layers don't blur together. Because trust me, the alternative is standing at the inspection table while an officer pulls your perfectly folded life into a messy pile. 10 minutes of stress you could have avoided with a few cubes and an inch of space. A rule that seems familiar and easy, but even professionals can lose expensive things here. Half-empty shampoo in a 6-ounce bottle? Still too big. Peanut butter, hummus, shoe gel inserts, creamy cosmetics all count as liquid and all fall under 311. And officers don't care how much is left. They only look at the max size on the label. And here's the catch. A lot of travelers believe the 311 rule is gone because of new CT scanners. But don't be fooled. In reality, it is still enforced at every U.S. airport in 2025. The 100 milliliter limit is also the standard in most countries worldwide. If you assume it's gone, you'll pay for it at the checkpoint. The most common slip-ups? Using a non-transparent pouch, sneaking in 2 bags instead of 1, or carrying oversized bottles almost empty. So the safe move is simple. Use bottles marked 100 milliliters 3.4 oz or less. Keep them in one transparent bag, and don't assume exemptions apply to you. On paper, it sounds simple. Under 100 watt-hours, you're fine. Between 100 and 160, you need airline approval. Over 160, forget it. Completely banned. Most 20,000 milliamp-hour packs are safe at around 74 watts. Push it closer to 30,000 milliamp hours, and you're over 100 wows, right where TSA can step in. And nobody wants to debate battery math at the checkpoint. There are plenty of stories of people losing pricey chargers this way. One traveler at LAX had his $80 pack tossed in the bin, simply because the label was scratched and the watt hours couldn't be verified. No discussion, no refund, just gone. So what's the move? Pick power banks with the watt-hour clearly printed on the case. Keep them in your carry-on, never checked. And if you're close to the 100 WR limit, do the math before you leave home. Over 100 W. Call your airline ahead of time. It's a 2-minute call that can save you $100. Because honestly, the only thing worse than a dead phone at the airport is watching TSA drop your brand new power bank into the confiscated pile. For anyone flying internationally, this is where you need to pay special attention. Most travelers think once they're past TSA, food is no problem. This isn't true. The USDA and customs officials have their own regulations, and they can be even more stringent than security. On domestic US flights, you can usually bring packaged snacks, sandwiches, or even fresh fruit for the trip because the risk is lower. International flights, however, are much stricter, especially in countries like Australia and New Zealand, where even a simple trail mix can get flagged at customs. And it's not just about losing your snack. Violations can mean steep federal fines, permanent notes in your travel record, or even legal charges. Agriculture officers don't just confiscate items, they record your name in government databases that can follow you for years. So the smart move? Stick to sealed commercial products with clear ingredient labels, and always check the rules of CBP USDA your destination before you fly. Because at the checkpoint, losing a snack is annoying, but losing cash, a clean record, and your peace of mind? That's a whole different trip. You've heard it 1,000 times. Take out your electronics. But I once watched a whole line freeze for 30 minutes because one laptop was buried under a sweater. It was enough to make even the calmest traveler sigh out loud. And that's why TSA keeps hammering this rule in 2025. Here's the reason. Laptops, tablets, game consoles, even chunky cameras are dense blocks on X-ray. They don't just hide themselves. They can also block lithium batteries or other items underneath. To the scanner, it's a giant blind spot, and blind spots mean one thing: full bag search. So the fix is simple. Keep anything bigger than a phone in its own tray. Stage it in an outer pocket of your bag so you can grab it in seconds. And here's a pro tip. Use a slim sleeve for your laptop. It slides out and back in smooth act. No awkward juggling at the belt. And remember, some airports with CT scanners may let you keep electronics inside. But don't count on it. Always listen to the officer at that lane. If they say out, it's out. Because at the end of the day, this rule isn't about making your life harder. It's about keeping the line moving and keeping that lithium battery under your laptop from becoming a mystery block on the screen. If your medication keeps you healthy, don't give it a paperwork obstacle. Even something as vital as insulin can be delayed if it looks unverified. Officers aren't pharmacists. When they see loose pills with no name, they have to slow down and ask questions you don't have time to answer. TSA in the US does allow medication without original labels, but keeping them labeled makes the process faster, especially for controlled substances. On international flights, the rules are tougher. Drugs like ADHD prescriptions, anti-anxiety pills, or strong painkillers without proper labels or paperwork can lead to confiscation, fines, or, though rarely, legal issues. Travelers often report 5 to 20 minutes of extra checks and, in rare cases, missed flights. The safe move. Keep medicine in the original prescription bottle so officers can immediately see your name and dosage. If you prefer using a pill organizer, carry the original bottles as backup or bring a copy of your prescription and a doctor's note. And if you're flying internationally, always check the drug import rules of your destination. Countries like Japan and the UAE restrict or ban medications that are common in the US. A few extra labels and documents in your bag can mean the difference between a quick pass-through and an unnecessary, stressful delay at security. Even beyond the standard TSA rules, there are hidden traps that surprise travelers all the time. Gear that looks suspicious on a scanner, safe, duty-free bottles that don't make it past a connection, and even the way you talk to an agent when your bag is overweight. These might sound like small details, but they can be the difference between keeping your cool and losing money or your belongings right at the gate. You'd be shocked what security thinks looks like a weapon. One traveler shared that his gimbal, folded tight, looked like a handgun on the X-ray. Add in a drone battery pack, and the officer demanded a full unpack right there at the belt. Always separate drones, gimbals, and unusual shaped gear. Keep them in clear cases or padded sleeves, and tell the officer before the scan. A simple, "This is a drone battery" in its case saves you 15 minutes of questions. That shiny duty-free whiskey looks safe in the sealed bag, right? Here's the trap. When you connect through another airport, the liquid rules reset. I've seen passengers buy a $120 bottle in Europe, only to have it trashed in Atlanta during a rescreening. Rule of thumb: if you're changing planes in the US, assume duty-free liquids won't survive unless they're in a STEB, tamper-evident bag with the receipt inside. And even then, it depends on the airport. If it's precious, pack it checked from the start. Here's something that most people overlook. Your attitude matters. If your luggage looks heavy but you want it moved, say, "Can I move a few things into my personal luggage to lighten the weight?" This shows cooperation and preparation. Never argue or say, "But it fit last time." This will quickly get you slammed. The staff is very considerate. A quick, polite request could save you $75. You don't need an expensive suitcase or fancy gadgets to fly like a pro. You just need to know these tricks to keep your stuff safe, save money, and avoid those side eyes from everyone stuck in line behind you. If this video helped you dodge a bag check or a surprise fee, drop a like. Share it with a friend who always gets stuck at security, and tell me your most unforgettable airport story in the comments. And of course, hit subscribe so you never miss a tip that makes flying feel effortless.